And good morning. It is Wednesday, July 12th. It is 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to say it's 8 o'clock again like I did Monday. And welcome to the Bitter Knitters podcast. I'm here with Arthur.
Hello.
And Ryan.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning today, Jack.
And so we're the Bitter Knitters. We're here with our Wednesday show. Hopefully it'll be a little more fun than our... Although I thought Monday was a great show. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, same here.
With Arthur.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So we have a few different stories. Too much time on any of them. I think they're like really kind of short little,
blurbs.
Drive-bys, as it were. And then that will bring us into the first story. A teen in Newfoundland, that's in Canada, for those who aren't sure where that is, Newfoundland, has been charged. He's been charged with assault because he threw a pizza at somebody from his car as he was driving by. So he did a pizza drive-by. I don't believe the victim was injured. I don't even think he hit the target. So a couple things here. Can you be charged with assault if you miss?
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, what a waste of a pizza.
Yes.
Pizza's not cheap either. What the hell?
It depends on where it's from. If it's from that garbage pizza place, then yeah, throw it out, bro.
Oh, pizza's gotten so shitty, hasn't it?
Oh, it's terrible. It's fucking cardboard with cheese on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. Who hasn't done stupid shit like that when they were kids?
I never.
No? I used to do shit like that all the time. All the time.
I mean, if it was a freshly hot pizza and it actually hit somebody's face, that could leave some serious burns.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pizza's hot as shit.
But I mean,
maybe he had pineapples on his pizza and that's why he had to throw it away. It's gross.
I like Hawaiian pizzas.
Ugh.
Ew.
I don't mind. No,
invented by a Canadian.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
That was not in Hawaii.
Like, I'll apologize for Hawaiian pizza before I apologize for Bieber. You know what I mean? Like that was a disservice. That was a disservice by Canada.
No, I need you guys to apologize.
Still might prove to be worth something at some point.
Exactly.
No, I need you guys to apologize for Avril Lavigne. Like seriously, what the fuck?
Yeah, when I get an apology for Shaggy, you'll get an apology from me.
Is Shaggy even American though?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
He's American.
I actually argued this the other day because some guy brought up Bieber and Celine Dion and all that fucking shit. And I said, I'm like, the trash heap musicians, like Kid Rock? Kid fucking Rock? Fuck out of here. Like, there's a guy like to smack into with a piece of pizza. Fucking asshole.
Yeah. We have to assume this 18-year-old was not stoned, though, because there's no way some high kid was going to throw away his pizza.
No.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
He's definitely not high.
But I mean, again, though, like, I can remember being, 15, 16 when my friends first got their cars, and we would do stupid shit like that all the time. Throw shit at fucking strangers. I mean, I don't want to give out any names, but I watched a guy throw a fucking full can of Coke at a dude from a moving car.
Oh, my God.
I wasn't very happy about it, but I mean, we were teenagers. We were dumb. We didn't understand consequences.
Stupid. I agree.
Right now, this kid possibly getting charged with assault. Hopefully he smartens the fuck up, but...
Yeah.
It's...
And I mean, 18, you're coming in, you're a man now, you're not a kid. So
yeah.
He's going to be charged as an adult.
Yeah,
which is kind of...
At 18, you should know better. You should know a little bit better, but... I mean, kids do dumb shit.
I also like this line from, I'm assuming it's from CTV News, because that's the website I'm looking at. Police did not specify whether the slice was triangle or square-shaped.
Jesus Christ.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's also unclear what toppings were on it at the time of the alleged assault. Oh, CTV News.
Yeah, you gotta love Canada, the Canadian news. Like, that's amazing journalism right there.
Was it super slow news that day that they had to write that part in?
I mean, not really, because all the 45 stuff was happening, but this is a very important news story in Canada.
Well, and Newfoundland.
I mean, and Newfoundland, exactly.
Like, what are they going to talk about in Newfoundland? You know what I mean? Like, oh, somebody hit a moose today. Like, yeah, we know. It's fucking
Newfoundland. Another iceberg floated by.
Right?
Speaking of icebergs, there's that story that some iceberg was, like, as big as a house. Okay, never mind.
No, wait.
Did I dream that?
Are you talking about the iceberg?
The
iceberg
or the one in Antarctica?
Yes.
It's way bigger than a house.
Way bigger than a house. Okay, so that was one of the stories I wanted to talk about. This is, I believe in climate change. I'm going to assume now that this might be an effect of climate change, but icebergs do cleave off glaciers all the time. So I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. So a massive iceberg, bigger than all of Prince Edward Island. Now that's a small island, but it's still significant. It's broken off the ice shelf in Antarctica. It's 1 trillion tons. It's twice the volume of Lake Erie.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's off, and I guess, I mean, be careful, ships floating in the air, in the area.
Yeah.
I mean, that could make a lot of Titanics.
I mean, I kind of personally believe it was bound to happen anyway.
Just from the normal events.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, climate change, again, you can't deny it. Like, I'm sorry to any fucking climate change deniers. You're stupid. You can't deny it. The Earth changes its climates. It is what it is. I kind of believe, like, again, like, we are speeding the shit up, but I do believe that this was going to happen anyway. There's no way that Antarctica, as a landmass, was going to be able to hold all that ice. I mean, let's face it, land creates its own heat. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it is kind of fucked up when you think about it. Like, what did you say, over 1 trillion tons of ice now?
Yeah, and it is, like, that's reduced that ice shelf by 12%.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Now, they say that there won't be any immediate impact on sea levels, which is good. But, I mean, is this the start of the end?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Do you think, like, how the old saying is that by 2050 there'll be no ice in the Arctic and the polar bears will be gone?
Oh, yeah. Again, like, I don't want to sound like a climate change denier, but the polar bears are all they're going to die out eventually anyway. Here's the thing. So polar bears, what do they eat? They eat seals and whatever whales they can catch. They're going to fucking, the seals and the whales are going to learn the fucking polar bear's tricks, and they're going to starve to death eventually anyway. It's why you see a lot of polar bears, at least out in, like, the Alaska BC way. They're coming inland. They're competing with the grizzly bears for their food,
Churchill,
right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. They spend a lot of time on the ice, floating around. If there's no ice, they're gonna go. It makes me very sad. But I mean, that was the other news yesterday. They've officially announced that the Earth is in its 6th stage of animal extinction.
Yeah.
Brought on by us, partly. Brought on by climate change, partly. It's very sad. I mean, what's the world going to look like in 100 years? I wonder. And I'm kind of the same thought as Arthur. I do believe that the Earth goes through natural cooling and heating and climate change. But I do think that we spent when was the Industrial Revolution in UK? That was what, the early 1800s.
Yeah.
So for 200 years we've been pumping coal and pollutants into the sky, and that's obviously done something to speed things along.
Oh, absolutely. But again, though, we're just speeding up the natural progression of the Earth. I mean, the Earth's went through, 7, 8 ice ages? I know there's been one where the entire planet covered in ice, and that was well before humans were around. You know? So there's nothing we can do to stop it. There's obviously things we can do to kind of maybe prolong our comfortable climate we have now. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it.
I mean, that's the thing they say in our area of the world. Yeah. The worst that we'll get more severe storms, thunderstorms, ice storms. I mean, for the most part, we'll survive those.
I live inland.
As long as I'm not out on a golf course, right? I feel bad for our friend Justin. He lives in Florida. He'll have to find a new state to live in at some point.
So same with my family, right? All my family out in Nova Scotia, like, they have to bounce. But I mean, I'm 1,800 kilometers away from the ocean. I don't care about rising sea levels. Like, I really don't.
Well, and I'm on the freaking Scarborough Bluff, so I mean, I might be on an island at some point, but I'm not gonna float away. So.
Yeah, right. So I don't fucking care. Like, bring it
on. Well, recycle, reduce your carbon footprint if you can. Let's prolong it at least while I'm on this planet, okay?
But I have this like you're saying, like the extinction level and shit like that, and like, what's animal life gonna look 100 years from now? I mean, what did it look like 15,000 years ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the animals are constantly dying off, and new ones are coming around, and I don't know. I think we're just so fucking, like, present centric that we start to negate, like, the past, like the shit that's fucking happened. Like, animals die, new ones come along. The earth changes.
This is true.
You know, like.
But maybe some of these animals would have lasted another million years if we weren't, you know, cutting down all their living area.
Oh, possibly. Like the mammoth probably would have still been around if, you know,
But
the first humans weren't out there murdering the shit out of them.
They are saying though that there's potential. I mean, granted, I don't really completely believe this. That some animals that are extinct may still actually be alive if, like, you know, because we've only seen maybe 10% of the forest and.
Well, they keep finding new creatures in the Amazon all the time. So definitely there could be some things there.
There's a fish, what's it called? The coelacanth. It was caught about 15 years ago off the coast of South Africa, and it was believed to be extinct for about 1.5 million years.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I am absolutely with you, Ryan. Like, we haven't really explored the Earth as well as we like to think. I mean, hell, we thought gorillas were a myth all the way up to the 1920s.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a fair point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Animals are going to die, and we'll just figure out how to kill the new ones.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the best thing that we're good at, right? Is killing animals and killing things and destroying things.
Yeah, it's, you know, but it's human nature, and I feel like sometimes I kind of agree with Arthur to some extent, because I do feel like sometimes we panic over everything too much.
Yeah.
And then the other part is then, either way, when you look at it from both sides of the spectrum, I think that it's a selling point for both parties, at least in the United States, right? Both parties to kind of like make money off of it. These people talk about how there's no such thing as climate change. The other part is there is such a thing as climate change. And then they both have their own organizations or whatever. And it just makes money.
Yeah. Well,
money
there it is. Like,
go around.
How much are these climate scientists, I don't know how to describe them or whatever, but how much are they getting like government grants and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, not in America, nothing anymore.
Well, yeah, in the States, fair enough. But like, let's, you know, in places like maybe Sweden or Norway where, you know, they're a little more, you know, environmentally conscious, I guess.
Right.
And again, like.
But at what point do you panic? Once your house is floating away, or do you do it before, you know?
When I wake up and I see orcas in Lake Ontario, that's when I'm like, oh shit. That's when I'm going like, okay, maybe this shit's a little fucked now. But until that point, like, again, I'm gonna keep on keeping on. Like,
yeah.
I mean, again, like, let's face it.
But I mean, we all should do our best that we can. Yes. I mean, if you can recycle. If you can afford an electric vehicle, great, do that.
Yeah.
You know.
I do agree with that.
Try.
You should try. Yeah.
Yeah. I like being a vampire and sitting in the dark, so you know, I'm doing my bit there.
What?
No, like, you know, keeping the lights out. I like, and you know, my kids are the same way. I made them like little mini vampires. I'm like, you know, 45 son Trump or Eric Trump looks like a little vampire guy.
Oh God, please stop.
Yeah, Eric Trump. He looks like a vampire.
No, I'm saying stop discussing him. He's just disgusting.
Okay, so another. I don't know if this is going to get anybody riled up, but kind of annoys me to a sense. So there's a town in Ontario called Cornwall. It's actually where my mom is from. There's a woman who is now made a complaint, a human rights complaint, over the policy of permitting women and girls 10 and older from being topless in municipal pools. So she wants all city pools to allow women or girls over 10 to be topless. She says it's gender discrimination and that it's not fair. She should be allowed to be topless. Now, I will say this, in Ontario, women do have the right to be topless in public.
Yep.
But of course, you know, if you have a private property, you can say, no, you can't be topless, blah, blah, blah. So I can walk down the street of Toronto right now topless, and I won't get a ticket. As long as I'm not selling something. If you're trying to sell something, then it's against the law.
What? That's weird.
It's been
like because they don't want topless girls outside of a restaurant saying, come in and try our Hooters wings without their shirt on, right?
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? This is the funny part, though. She doesn't even live in Cornwall.
I think she's just a fucking social justice warrior trying to fight a fight that, you know what I mean? Like, like most of these assholes. I mean, I'm with her, but I personally believe you shouldn't be able to be nude in public until you're an adult. You know, like, let's try to quell the fucking pedophilia and shit like that. Like, let's not embolden these sick people any more than they already fucking
especially
are.
When a girl is like, you know, 11, 12, 13 and her little boobies are coming in.
Right.
Like, it's a traumatizing time for a girl, trust me.
You know, it's. I mean, I do understand. Like, I get it, but at the same point in time, like, I think she's wrong with saying like fucking little girls should be able to do that.
Well, and I mean, is it really a human rights violation? Like, this is my kind of point.
Not.
Like, I get you want to be topless. That's wonderful. But why should I have to look at your boobs if I'm in, the city pool with my kids? Why should my kid have to see your boob? Should they be sexualized thing? Maybe not, but they are. No. Let's face it. They are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this isn't Europe. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thought of, like, going topless, especially for women, is kind of a new concept here in North America. So, unfortunately, your breasts will always be sexualized for a long time to come until, the Free the Nipple campaign really fucking catches on. They're just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want kids to be nude and, like, naturalists or whatever, there's naturalist colonies. Do it there.
Yeah.
I'm just worried personally about the whole sick pedophilia shit. You know what I mean? Like, children are innocent. They don't deserve that kind of shit.
And these perverts are already, hanging around water parks and stuff.
Exactly.
And beaches and pools, just trying to find a little boy or a little girl just in a bathing suit.
Yep.
They don't have to be topless, right? These guys are already pervs. And I mean, let's face it, now you're swimming happily in the pool. You don't know this is just a woman. I'm not talking about kids here. You want someone taking your picture because somebody will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can remember a long time ago when I was very young, my teens at the beach. Now I wasn't doing anything. I was wearing probably shorts and a t-shirt because I don't suntan. But there was a couple of beautiful girls and they were walking and they were wearing thong bikinis. And they had a group of about 4 or 5 guys just following them. And I know they weren't with them because they were old, kind of gross-looking guys. And they were just like, hey, honey, hey, sweetie, making kissing noises, nice ass, nice tits, like come sit on my face, that kind of stuff. It was just disgusting. And these girls were just, wearing thong bikinis. I mean, we see that all the time now. It's not super offensive, but some guys can't handle that level of sexuality.
I seen something similar the first time I went down to the Dominican. Me and Liz were sitting there on the beach, and the Europeans come and they bathe topless, whatever. Like, I'm gonna look at your boobs. Like, I like boobs, so I'm gonna, But there was at least 20 guys with like great fucking cameras getting right up in there and just snapping pictures, and I'm like, really, boys? Like, the internet's a thing.
You go on the internet for
exactly.
free
The internet's a thing. Like, I will give you the link to Pornhub, bud. Like, it's there. You don't need to be a fucking pervert.
God, it just makes you wonder about some of these people. Like, get over it.
Yeah, like,
Jesus. It is just a boob.
They're just boobs.
I mean, I know you like them because they're kind of sexy or whatever, but I mean, like, really beyond feeding a baby and just getting squeezed.
Yeah.
What? They don't really serve much of a purpose.
And I'm assuming that that's what this woman's point is. You know what I mean? Like, they're just natural. They're just, a part of life. Like, you shouldn't really obsess over them. And I'm with her on that. I disagree with the whole child thing. I'll never agree with that.
I definitely agree with the child thing.
Yeah, I will never agree with that.
But I don't think it's just because it's a city pool doesn't mean you should be able to force these things on them.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, again,
and I get it. The same as like when the women want to breastfeed in the pool. Not in the pool. You want to breastfeed on the side of the pool. I have no problem with that. But don't get your DNA or your goo-goo in the pool, okay?
Fair enough.
Oh my God, Jacqueline, ew.
What?
So you just like goo-goo. Oh my God.
Keep all your stuff out of the pool. Don't pee in the pool. Don't get your breast milk. Don't get your, your poops, anything.
I don't
get
mind
that in
the kids peeing in the pool because everybody pees in the ocean, so.
Yeah, but I don't like that because I swim in a pool twice a week, and I don't want little kids peeing in the pool constantly.
You've probably swam in some.
When I was little, I did. Trust me, but I don't now. I get out of the pool every time.
Not anymore.
No, because kids are disgusting. I definitely did it when I was younger. I admit to it. I pooped in a pool when I was little.
Awesome.
Jacqueline, ew.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I didn't want to get out because I was having so much fun, and it just
you
out.
mean to. You did it on purpose. I can tell.
I did not.
I can see it in your voice.
Okay. This is my favorite story of the week. I wish I could show this to you all listening, but so the Amazon AI on I don't know who owns it, at My Handy Design, I guess it is. It designs phone cases. So what it's programmed to do is to find popular things that have been searched. So maybe looking up pizzas because of drive-by pizza or whatever. And then it prints out a phone case and then you can order it. Well, something's gone wrong in the coding. because it's now finding things that are popularly searched, but these are medical terms. So it's printing out weird pictures. So the one is called adult diaper worn by an old man with a crutch. And that's the picture, the close-up of this man's diaper and his crutch. There's some really hysterical ones. There's heroin and a needle. There's a lady getting her underarm waxed. There's cocaine, gross yellow fungus toenails, just like all these weird things. But it just kind of makes me laugh. I should order this one. I didn't see anything wrong with this one. There's a tampon and a pad and a lady's stomach in this one. You know, like this is what happens when we leave things to the computers and artificial intelligence. That stuff is not, you know, perfected, I guess is the word I want to say yet.
How is it generating these searches though? Like you're saying, like it's taking the most popular searches, right? Now, right. Does Amazon not realize that like 90% of the internet is fucking complete degenerates?
Well, it probably has an algorithm to block out that stuff, so you're not seeing penis or you know, scat play or something.
Yes.
But I like that it says the phone, the one with the adult diaper currently has 3 stars.
Oh, that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
So now, this is my question to you guys. What was the last medical thing you researched on the internet, and what kind of phone case would you generate?
Oh, it would definitely be cancer.
Yeah. Always looking up the cancer, are you?
Yeah. Well, not that. I like to go on WebMD and see what I can type into WebMD for it to just be like, no, you got cancer, bro.
It doesn't need much.
It really doesn't need much. Like I woke up and my arm's a little sore. Oh, you got cancer. I fucking love WebMD.
I remember when Sister Patty thought she had cancer, she came upstairs crying, and I'm like, you and WebMD are not a doctor. Okay?
Exactly.
We'll take it to the doctor.
Yeah.
She did not have cancer, thank goodness.
She could have.
She could have. That's why you go to the doctor to check, but she didn't.
Or WebMD.
Mine would have been, just because I was looking up some stuff today, would have been like eyeballs of birds.
That'd be an interesting phone case, right. I guess.
Mine.
What were you looking at?
The last thing I looked up on, like the internet. Okay, not quite, but it was. What is it called? Because I have a skin tag close, like on my inner thigh, and I thought it was like, you know, genital warts, and I'm like crying hysterically. But what do you mean, like, what animal you'll be?
No, just like what medical thing you looked up. So you'd look up a skin tag or genital warts.
Yeah, skin tags.
You gotta get rid of that without going to the doctors.
Yeah,
I'll tell you a secret. Tie a little string or dental floss around it, or you just twist it constantly for a week and it'll fall off.
Yeah, and that's what they say, because you have to cut off the blood supply. Yeah, that's
okay, good there, and then you don't have to pay $30 to the doctor or dermatologist. And the last story before we move on to who knows what is this one. It's a little bit of an older story, but it's from last week. Patton Oswalt. So I don't know if you guys remember. Okay, so Patton Oswalt's a comedian actor. He was on King of Queens. He does the voice of the Goldbergs. I think he's kind of an interesting guy. I've watched some of his stand-up. It's funnier than I thought it would be. His wife died last year, 15 months ago.
Yes.
She died in her sleep. I can't remember what happened, how she passed away, but she passed away, and it was very sudden. And obviously, they had a small child. It was very tragic for him. 15 months later, he announced he's engaged to Meredith Salinger, who was an actress from the 80s. And there was a whole bunch of drama over this. People telling him that it was too soon, that he was disrespecting the memory of his wife. You know, who's to say how soon it is? Who's to say that, you know, like, he knows what's right for him. You have no place to tell someone what to do with their life. Fuck off.
Well, that's it. We live in a time now where everyone knows better than you. Everyone knows your personal life better than you know your own fucking personal life, because, you know, I wouldn't do it, so that means you're a fucking monster for doing it. Yeah, well, go fuck yourself, bud. I'm a free fucking person in a free country. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
You know, and they're like, oh, it's not proper. Well, you know what? Back in the old days, he would have had to be married within a couple months because he would have needed somebody on his farm,
Yeah.
you know, to help him freaking raise his kids and cook and clean because he wouldn't know how to do that. He'd be busy working the actual farm.
Yeah.
I think 12 months, if he wanted to wait 12 months or 15 months, is definitely acceptable. If you want to wait 6 months, who the fuck am I to judge?
Exactly.
You know? Who the hell am I to judge? I, touch on wood, have not lost my husband. I can't tell somebody when to get over it. And it's not that he didn't love his wife. I'm sure he still loves his first wife. I mean, I know my mother still loves her first husband.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean she doesn't love her current husband.
Any more, any less, yeah. Any more.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different person, different kind of love. You feel different types of love for people, you know. And I cannot believe. I mean, it's the same thing as like when someone's holding their baby. Oh my God, you're holding your baby wrong, Christy Teigen. You're a horrible mother. You know, shut up.
Yep.
Well, I feel like people.
Her baby's still alive and healthy. Yeah, they just have something to say. And then the next thing came yesterday, of course. Somebody had the audacity to tweet at Patton Oswalt and Meredith Salinger, congrats, but how, ? Patton Oswalt equals short, chubby, kind of funny looking. So you're saying because he doesn't look, you know, like a traditional hottie, he doesn't deserve love? You know?
I think that's a thing for a lot of people, and it comes down to their own personal wants. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I could never land the hot chick because I'm not conventionally attractive. So how the fuck can this guy land the hot chick? Well, A, he's interesting.
He's funnier.
You know what I mean? And humor will get you a long way with girls, boys. Like,
girls love funny guys.
Exactly. Now, again, I don't know him in his personal life. He could be a very intellectual man, very sweet, caring. You know what I mean? So who the fuck is anyone to say that shit?
I loved what she said, though. I will say this. She replied to him. She said, Patton Oswalt equals kind, brilliant, creative, thoughtful, adventurous, witty, intelligent, fair, aware, helpful, charitable, so cute, heart, beautiful inside and out. And I mean, I've read some of his writings. He's an incredible writer, too. Yeah, I mean, we're all worthy of love, even if we're the ugliest schlub on the planet. And you know what? If you can land a hottie, good for you. I don't care whether you're a man or a woman. You can land a hottie.
But that's it, though. Do you know the sex of the person that wrote that tweet to him? Was it a guy?
Let me see. Puka-chan?
Yeah, so I can't really decipher out of that. But yeah, I honest, because I know a few friends of mine who are, you know, they're not the conventionally attractive people, and they say stupid shit like that all the time. Oh, well, how does he get the hot chick? Well, because he's not a fucking crybaby nice guy, bro. Like, fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know, they don't go around creeping on fucking Facebook photos from fucking 7 years ago writing beautiful underneath it, you fucking thirsty bitch.
Oh, there's some cringy guys out there. And girls, too, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
Some cringy people are just like, you know, like, on my Facebook page. My daughter's 15 years old. She works at the grocery store I work at. And men come in and be like, one man, like, I mean, she's only been working there a few months. One man's like, oh, I would love to take you to dinner. Like, dude, she's only being nice to you because she has to be. It's her
Exactly.
Young girl. She doesn't look 18. I don't care how much makeup she puts on. She doesn't look 18.
No.
So stop being a fucking perv and, you know, leave her alone. If I was there when this shit was going down, I would fight them.
But it even goes to like that guy's tweet though, and like kind of my point to it, like a lot of these men think like it's owed to them. You know what I mean? Like the moment I'm nice to a girl, like, oh well, you owe me something now. No.
Well, we see that all the time.
Yeah.
We see girls releasing the contacts. So a guy will be like, hey, how's it going? She'll be like, fine. And then he immediately starts to get a little more, I don't want to say sexual, but a little more into it. Yeah. And she doesn't respond, or she says no thanks, and suddenly she's a fat, ugly cunt, you know?
Yeah.
Sorry for saying the C word. But that's the way it is. And it's kind of like, what do we owe you? We don't owe you a hello.
Owe you nothing.
We don't even owe you a smile.
Exactly.
And I know the thing goes backwards. You don't see as much women doing these things, but there's a lot of vile women in the world that will attack a man for sure. You know?
I find it very prevalent on the internet. Like it's insane. Like I have a few female friends, and I say it to them all the time. It's like, you cannot be semi-attractive in a woman on the internet without having dudes that expect shit from you, or that, or fucking them filling your inbox with fucking dick pics.
Trust me, I mean, you guys all know me. I'm a 45-year-old woman. I'm overweight. You know, I mean, I don't look that old, but still, I'm not a hot chick. I'm not Charlize Theron, right? I play a game called Dice with Buddies, and at least once a week have somebody trying to talk to me in private message. I just ignore them for the most part. But I mean, like I said, I ain't no hot shit.
And it just goes to show you the perviness of most men.
Oh yeah, men are. You know what? I'll say this, and no offense to men, and men are my kind. I am a man, sometimes a woman, but men are the most disgusting creatures sometimes. Like, they don't care. Like, I find that whether you're attractive or not attractive, you feel entitled to something, and when you're rejected, you tend to go on the offensive towards the person.
Yeah. Because nobody likes to be rejected. Right?
Rejection
but
sucks.
you need to learn to live with that in life, though, because life you'll be rejected. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you go apply for a job, buddy goes, sorry, you're not really qualified. Then you go, oh, fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. Is it because I'm fucking fat? Well, no, asshole.
Yeah. That's how some people get. But then on the other hand, let's say about women, how judgy can women be? Oh, look, there's a picture of, say, I'm trying to think of somebody who's a little bit larger, Rebel Wilson, wearing a dress. She's too big to wear that dress. She shouldn't be wearing that dress.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Or the same sort of thing. The mommy judgers. If you're not the perfect mommy, let me tell you, they're like the mafia out there. Right? And they have everything to say. If you don't have the right crib, you don't have the right stroller, if you're breastfeeding your baby or you're not breastfeeding your baby.
Yeah.
Right?
I honestly noticed that a lot with the whole anti-vaxxing thing. The arguments, and again, like, I completely disagree with anti-vaxxers, but whatever. But the arguments I seen back and forth between these people were fucking comical, because again, you're trying to tell someone that only your way of raising a baby's right. No, I'm sorry, go fuck yourself. Human beings, we've been raising kids for 1 million years before your stupid fucking self-help book, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah. If somebody asks you for your advice, then you can share it, but you don't just give it and tell people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up and stop judging people. Oh, I've raised my kids so much better than you're raising your kids. I spend more time at mommy and me than you spend with your kid. Just all these little things. Oh, I don't work. I can be a stay-at-home mom and take care of my kids. Just like everything. You'll never make anybody happy. And with the vaxxer things, like, look, please vaccinate your kids because it will help them in the long run. But you're not going to convince anybody who doesn't believe in it to do it.
Oh, hell no.
It's like the anything in the world, people that support 45, you're never going to talk those people, no matter what evidence you show. Those people aren't going to change their minds. The same as, I'm a liberal, although I feel like I'm more open-minded. You show me something wrong that Trudeau does, I will be like, oh, I don't like that. And I've said many times things that I don't like that Trudeau does. I don't know if I would vote for him again, to be honest.
No, that guy's going to lose in a landslide.
He's running against. Right? It really will come down to who he's running against. So, but you'll never convince me to become a conservative. So.
He's my husband, Trudeau.
Well, he'll have a lot of free time in the next coming years once he's booted out of office.
He'll be doing a lot more yoga.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you get yoga all up in my...
Again, I talk to a lot of Westerners, and they are not happy. Not happy at all with that guy.
Yeah.
Like, even the more liberal Westerners I even know are not happy with that guy, but whatever, fuck him.
Well, we'll definitely have more to talk about when that election starts up. I wanted to, I know Ryan wants to talk about things that we miss from being kids.
Yes. But there's something else you guys want to talk about before we do that?
You want to talk about the aliens first?
I can go off about that for the next, 25 minutes, so...
Okay, let me go fry up some bacon while AJ talks aliens.
Because,
I'm very interested in this. Go ahead.
I got...
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I ate a bunch of edibles, whatever, and I started watching alien documentaries. Now, again, I normally watch this shit just for shits and giggles, but I got this random thought in my head, and it's kind of been bugging me. Why the fuck do we just write it off as nonsense? As a whole. Like, why are we so...
So, like, when these people say, I saw a spaceship or I was abducted by aliens,
why are we so quick to be like, no, you're fucking crazy? Now, again, I've had my own experience. It was me and 5 of my friends. I won't reveal their names because, again, this makes me even sound fucking crazy. But we were sitting in my backyard, and we're just hanging out, fucking around a fire or whatever. And all of a sudden, the 5 of us cranked our heads towards the sky, and we see this thing fucking. I've never seen anything move like this. It was like fluttering in the sky. It was maybe about 300 foot above us, and it was completely silent and flew faster than anything I've ever seen. I've been to air shows. I've seen jets. I know, you know what I mean? And I've only brought this up to a few people, and now, you know, I'm kind of coming out with it. And every single time I say it, they're like, you're fucking nuts. You're crazy. Like, you're an idiot. You must have been fucking fried out of your head. Why are we so quick to dismiss this shit? I don't...
Well, I think the reason why is because you've got a huge group of just people that don't believe.
Yeah.
Right? They're probably... whether they don't believe in a lot of science, whether maybe they're ultra Christians or religious because they think that God created everything, that could be one reason. The other is like, if I start to say, oh, there's a possibility, then I'll be branded a kook as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, let's face it. The universe is
infinite.
What is it? There's more stars than grains of sand on the earth. Yeah. Isn't that the saying?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be the only by chance planet to have life. Now, I'm not saying, I have no idea. I will say this. I do believe that there's intelligent life out there. I do believe they've come to Earth. But yes, at the very least, there's got to be other life forms.
Well, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's just like, so I'm watching this documentary, and Buddy, like, I can't say he provided amazing evidence, but he was providing his evidence. And just, like... even someone like me, I'm watching it and I'm like, this is bullshit, man. This is bullshit. And then I had to question myself, like, why am I looking at this guy like he's a fucking crazy person? I don't know.
Do you think it's because so many people have tried to do hoaxes, crop circles, alien autopsy, that we've become, well, look, you know, it's kind of like the Sasquatch thing, right? Yeah. So many people have faked evidence that if you try to believe in it, now you're just going to be like some idiot that just falls for all these fake stories.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, like, there's obviously, like, real physical problems with the whole aliens coming to Earth. Like, let's face it, intergalactic space travel is completely hard. You know, you have the radiation, you have the time, the distance to deal with. Our gravity could be different than the gravity that they're used to, right? So there's a lot of variables there. It's just that one thought just kept playing over and over and over in my head is, why are we just so quick to dismiss these people? And I even have the same kind of thing with, like, the ghost believers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, my house is haunted. No, you're just a fucking idiot. But you know what I mean? Like,
no way. My house in Oshawa, that townhouse I lived in, was definitely haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, again, even that, I've had some weird experiences, but I don't want to say like it's this or that, because no one wants to sound like a fucking crazy person.
But I'm the same way. Like, I'll look at I'll go on YouTube and I'll look at like compilations of the scariest ghost videos or the scariest ghost photos, and I'll look at them and I'll be like, fake. Oh, this one, I don't know how they faked it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the same way. I kind of dismiss 90% of it, but then there's that 10% that kind of, I don't know how they did that, and it makes me wonder.
And I mean, like, even with the prevalence, I don't know if you guys ever watched that Ancient Aliens show on fucking History 2
I've never watched it, but I know about it with that crazy guy with the hair.
Oh, Giorgio Tsoukalos or some shit? Guy's fucking batshit crazy, but whatever. But they bring up a lot of fair points. And something my father said to me when I was young, that he could believe in the fact that something came here and that's what we kind of misconstrued as a god. So I've kind of been looking at a lot of history through those eyes, like even the Sumerians and stuff like that. And it's all starting to kind of add up to that. And it even makes me feel like I'm fucking going nuts. Like the fact that I can sit here and say, oh, no, you know what? I honestly think that aliens came here and fucking helped us build civilization is such a fucking crazy statement to make. And if I said that in the wrong place, people are like, no, lock that asshole up. He needs fucking help.
Stargate.
Right? Like, it's...
I remember, now I don't know if my mother would appreciate me saying this, but I will say, she doesn't listen to this podcast. Many years ago, she told me that she thought here and started life. Now, whether we were, colonists of an alien place, she didn't know, or whether they came and seeded us, like in that horrible Aliens movie.
Yeah.
Who knows? But why not? It would make sense why, if they came and seeded life on Earth, why we're like this?
Well,
why?
You and my father had a conversation similar to this a couple years ago down east, where I was saying, like, there's something that made us different. Whether you want to call it aliens or divine intervention or just happy circumstance, there's something that made human beings different, considering we are one of the youngest species on the planet. But yeah, you know, we mastered architecture, we mastered engineering, we mastered
language.
You know what I mean? Like all these things. Like, let's face it, sharks have remained unchanged for 150 million years. By all means, they should be running the world.
Yeah.
But you know, we're a million-year-old, and we've conquered everything. Like we're now looking at going out into the cosmos.
Yeah.
But the moment
colonizing,
the moment you like, I can sit here and say that was Jesus that did that, and people are like, okay, that's a fair assumption to make. But the moment I say, nah, I believe it was some intelligent life form that kind of hooked us up with this intelligence, like, oh, you're fucking batshit crazy, bro.
I read a book many years ago. I can't even remember what the book was called. I can't remember who the author was, so sorry. But it basically was the premise that, you know, these archaeologists found a hidden chamber under some South American, you know, pyramid.
Yeah.
But in there was a spaceship, and it was kind of the same thing. A couple of aliens crash landed on Earth, and they couldn't get back. And they ended up intermingling with like the pre-human hominids that were here.
Yeah.
And that's what led to, you know, current day Homo sapiens. It was actually really interesting, and it kind of was like, you know, this is possible.
It's just a weird thought. And I mean, I think a lot of my thinking about this was the fact, again, I was bombed out on fucking edibles. So like, I was just kind of like in the mood to kind of fucking trip myself out. But I don't know, like it's just been weighing on me a lot, I guess.
Well, no, but who's to say, because here's my thing about that. Who's to say that they don't exist, or that they're not? I mean, this is going to sound super crazy. You guys are probably going to laugh at me for saying this, but they're not, that they might not even actually be. When I was young, I used to think there's this smarter creature or smarter race of creatures, right, that are actually watching us kill each other off, because to them it's like we're the video game and they're the player, they're the ones playing the video games. Because at some point you have to put into perspective how some of the impossible for us has literally become somewhat possible to do. You know what I mean? Like those pyramids in Egypt, those things were so huge. I mean, for a long time people had thought, oh my god, aliens helped them build it.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes you do have to ask
how did they have the technology know how to build that back then? That's the thing,
well,
right?
When you actually get into the pyramids of Egypt, it actually is very possible for even that that time period for them to build. Some of the ruins though in Peru, like was it Teotihuacan or some shit like that? That stuff is where it starts to get a little mind-boggling. There's stones there that are about I don't even want to guesstimate the size, but they are bigger than my house.
Right.
And you can't slip a piece of paper in between these things. There's no tool marks on it. They look like they were cut by laser. It's on the top of a fucking mountain where these rocks don't even exist. How the fuck did you get those damn rocks up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you wonder about some of these things.
Like
even they talk about the Easter Island statues.
Yeah.
I remember watching a documentary and like them saying how, and they tried to recreate it like with the same sort of weights and tools, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, like I was at Stonehenge last year.
I was going to say Stonehenge,
I was at Stonehenge last year, and you know, I kind of thought the same thing like before, like, oh, man couldn't do it, and then I'm standing there at the ruins, so I'm looking, and I'm like, you know what? This is actually very physically possible for people to do. It's you know, it's huge. Don't get me wrong. Like these rocks are fucking monstrous, but it actually is possible. But there are some things that it's just like, no, how'd this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and again, a lot of it is in South America. You even look at the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
I spent about 6 hours one day on Google Earth just staring at these Nazca lines going, what the fuck? Like,
and why?
Why? It makes no sense at all. Like, no one at that time would ever be able to see that shit unless you had the power of flight. We know for a fact people didn't have the power of flight at that point in time.
The snake mounds?
Yeah.
In America?
Yeah, right? Like
why would you make those? You can't tell what that shape is from the Earth.
Yeah, it just looks like
it's very interesting.
Or
and
remember,
now,
sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan. You remember something.
But remember that book that was found that cannot be deciphered whatsoever because there is no living language or had ever been a language that was even close to it. I don't remember the name of the book, but I mean, in that alone, you know, in it they had said they had thought that it was younger than what it was, but it's actually even older than what it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that alone kind of tells you something. Yeah, I can make up a language, but, you know, at least a person can say, okay, that's a made up language, but scientists and researchers have found that this is not a made up language. This is too smart to have been made up. Yeah.
Well, they'll know if things are complex by looking at repeating letters and stuff. But one thing I want to say, what about all the evidence? Because, I mean, we've all seen the videos. We've seen news videos where the news have recorded these strange lights. They can't all be like test planes from
swamp gas and fucking weather balloons and shit like that.
I mean, I've seen stuff where these like crazy lights are going for like multiple, I don't know. I have seen some videos and it just makes you wonder.
And I mean, again, like I don't know what the term would be, videologist or whatever the fuck. Like I can't tell you what video is fake and what's real, but I mean, it would take one huge fucking conspiracy, I personally believe, to be faking the amount of evidence. You know what I mean?
And I mean, we've seen, who was it? I want to say it was it's either Buzz Aldrin or Armstrong believes in them.
Yeah.
And was it Jimmy Carter who said he saw?
Yes, Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, claims he saw an alien or a UFO. He didn't know what it was. It may not have been alien. It could be. I mean, and this is the other thing. So when the U.S. military revealed the stealth bomber, I mean, that still looked like it was military made.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it still looked like it was a plane, just a really fancy, futuristic looking plane.
Yeah.
So I could see people at first, when you saw that, you'd be like, "Holy cow, what's that? That's nothing I've ever seen before." But it definitely looks human.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That definitely wasn't out of the realm of our physics at the time, especially considering that the Americans forced us to dismantle the Avro Arrow, dump it in Lake Ontario so they could take and steal the technology. But that's a conspiracy for another time, I guess.
But yeah, like that's the sort of thing. So, but when you see some of these videos of these things,
and again, you even start going into the historical record, which again, like as crazy as that Ancient Alien show is, has kind of forced me to do. They keep bringing up the one Hindu text, the Mahabharata. I probably butchered the fucking pronunciation.
Yeah,
of that.
Some of these are hard to say.
But they're talking about two cities flying and fighting each other with fucking lightning bolts and fire.
Oh my gosh, spaceships.
Do you know what I mean? Now let's face it, if you don't know what the fuck flight is and you don't know what like lasers or whatever, fucking bullets even, you know what I mean? You're gonna fucking write down how you interpret it with the shit that you understand, right? And it's started to kind of really blow my mind. And again, it takes me back to that fact of why do we just write it off? Why don't we, like, again, let's face it, most of the modern people here, we're real science centric. We believe in science and science is the way to go, but we write this stuff off as like mythology and kind of like, just kookiness.
Yeah. And what about this is one thing that I always think of too, when they talk about the Roswell crash or, the government has seized these alien spacecrafts and stuff. You kind of got to wonder how we went from, the horse and buggy to the microchip.
Right.
So quickly. I mean, the Industrial Revolution, right, to the technological revolution. I mean, it took us thousands, millions of years to get to the Industrial Revolution, and it took us 50 years to get to, these little microchips that we have.
Well, it's true, right? Like, what, 200, 300 years ago, we were sitting there in steel suits, swinging steel swords at one another. And now I'm sitting here with the entire knowledge of the world in my hand.
Yep. Right? On your fingertips.
Exactly. It's all right here. I'm holding more technology in my hand right now than what we use to go to the moon.
Yep, I agree 100% on that, yeah.
And now, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's completely, like, that had to be intervention. I mean, let's face it, we are a very smart species.
Yes,
Look at how we conquered the world, even when we were primitive. We conquered the shit out of it with sharp sticks and rocks tied to sticks.
Yeah.
But I think your point, Arthur, is that we have to question, where did we get this, and is it coming in further and further, not coming in further and further, but are some of this even being fed to us more by, whoever it is or whatever it is? You know what I mean? Because to me, it's one of the most astounding things growing up was, I mean, I hope I don't get made fun of for saying this, was how we even kind of just viewed, what do you call that? The world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like we went from these kind of semi blah 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 people to these kind of now extremely more confident creatures. Like I
Yeah.
find that we're a little bit more confident than what we were before. I don't know if it's part of technology, but that alone is like, where is that kind of coming from? I mean, I'm not trying to be crazy here and say, oh my God, they're right next to you, you know, these aliens or whatever. But I do feel like there's a force out there that's maybe just a little bit smarter than we are.
See, and that's kind of my whole point, right? Like,
Yeah.
you just saying that, like, was the first thing you said. I don't want to sound crazy. Why are we automatically, like, why is it all automatically written off as just fucking insanity? It kind of blows my mind a bit. And I mean, again, it might have been the fact that I was bombed on edibles. I don't know. But it really started to just start playing over and over and over in my head. Like, why can't we just take, why can't we look at it from a scientifical and physical point of view? Why does it always have to be rhetoric?
Yes.
You know, like, I understand there are hoaxes out there. You know, you can't trust everybody at fucking face value. Like, we all know this. But someone's got to be right. Like, someone's got to be telling the truth.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like sometimes, I think the biggest problem with human beings are that we are afraid of what we do not know.
Oh, absolutely.
We're so afraid of admitting that, yes, there is something that may just be better than us, or that taught us better than what we
Well, what does that mean to the religious believers? If you now come out and say aliens are in fact true.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
That's going to cause upheaval to a lot of religious thinkers.
Oh, yeah.
Because to me, it's like, forget even just the religion aspect of it, but just people in general sometimes just seem so hesitant to admit, yes, there might be something or someone who just knows much more, a little bit more than we do as human beings. You know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, we're just so close-minded in general as humans,
we are.
right?
Oh, yeah, we are. Definitely, for sure.
So the last estimate I heard, the universe is around 15 billion years old. 15 billion, like, of our years, because obviously time is relative to where you're developed. But 15 billion years, and people have the hubris to say that we're it. You know what I mean? Like, we're it. That's it. And no, I'm sorry, you're batshit crazy. Like, even in a city, you can look up at the sky and see thousands of stars, and you're gonna sit there and tell me that no, this is it. There's nothing else out there. Like, fuck off.
No, I agree, because it's like, you know, sometimes I even think about it in the sense of like, oh, if you don't believe, let's say, in a higher power like God or whatever, right? Like, that's fine, but you have to figure how perfectly designed human beings are. Like, you know, how articulate.
We're not even that good of a design. Yeah, no. We're soft.
We have no physical defenses. Our eyesight is shit. Our hearing is shit. Our sense of smell is shit.
No, but I mean, like, to the point where we are functioning the way that we function. You know what I mean? To me, it's almost as if someone created us with a purpose, whether you believe it's God or not or whatever it is. Yeah. Someone created us with a purpose of for us to function perfectly the way we need to function. Granted, there are some, you know, people, they would call them defective, but there are some that may have not made it, that may have not been made so well. But most of us are made the way that we are, and then the differentiations between me and you, and the differentiation between, you know, me and then a person who may be of African American descent or African descent. It's just astounding sometimes. We can't come up with it. You know, science can constantly come up with these answers and stuff like that. But even then, that sometimes gets questioned as well later on, 10 years, 15 years later. Where do we get this?
That's the great thing about the scientific method, though, is nothing is ever fact. It's only a fact as far as we know, right?
Yeah.
And like, everything's constantly changing. It's my whole point on this is, I kind of think I'm going to start taking some of these people's claims a little more serious.
I'm open-minded.
Well, I'm just getting to a point now where I'm starting to question a lot more of this shit. Like, again, it's kind of fucked with my head for some years now. Like, what makes us so special? Again, dolphins they use more brain power than we do. Why are dolphins controlling the world?
They can't get out of the ocean.
But they fucking were on land. They were land animals that went back into the water, right?
You don't know about that.
Birds. We know for a fact that birds evolved from dinosaurs. That means birds technically have been kicking around for 1 billion or so years now. Why aren't they ruling the world? They have the power of flight, and hell, even some birds, and even some birds are better architects than we are. Look at the weaver bird. The weaver bird takes some of the weakest material on Earth and builds these huge, complex structures out of it.
That's you know what? You make such an amazingly great point, because what made us, it's kind of like the whole Mary Sue effect that we always talk about, Jacqueline, when it comes to books, right? Like, what made you so fucking special that you had to be like the character that everybody had to, you know what I mean?
Because
like,
we're so self-centered. Of course, everything revolves around us.
No, but I'm saying, like, but what made, like, what made us that? Like, what made us be the ones that are literally king of the kingdom?
Yeah, but apes have opposable thumbs.
Yeah.
And again,
I thought, no, they don't have opposable thumbs. They have those weird thumbs.
Chimps and bonobos pretty much have our exact same hands, except they're a lot stronger and larger.
Sharks are more aggressive than we are, so are lions and stuff like that.
Right?
We're not quite. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. To me, it's just a weird thought. And I mean, again, like I've admitted a few times, I was very, very high.
But I mean, think about this. This is the other thing that always blows my mind. Like when you think about DNA and stuff. Chimps are only like 2% different than us.
Yeah.
You know, DNA wise, that's weird.
Yeah.
That 2% is so vastly different, obvious.
But they use the exact same amount of brain power that we do. You know, they're developing tools apparently at the same rate that early humans would have.
Yeah.
But there's something that made us different. There's something that happened that made our species different. And there's no denying that. Like, again, you call it what you want. You want to call it coincidence. You want to call it divine intervention. You want to call it extraterrestrial intervention. I don't really care. But people need to start admitting that there's something that made us different. And I think that's where, I mean, obviously, because climate change is what's really facing us right now. But I personally think that science as a whole needs to start looking into that. Give us a better understanding of ourselves. Because let's face it, if we know ourselves a little better, we might be a little better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because and plus, I think maybe then we can focus on the fact that we're not as different as we all think we actually are. Yeah. Maybe we can have a better way of functioning as a society. Yeah. Is that the right term? Society, or like a world? I don't want to say world, but like as a society, because I feel like sometimes as human beings, we're so busy. I mean, this is a mild version of what I call sometimes the Hunger Games. Like, aren't we living somewhat what kind of the Hunger Games was representing? It's one against the other. Who's going to survive?
Because that's nature, right? Like the Hunger Games is just a what do you want to call it? A hyperbole on what nature is, right? Like where it's me against you, and I'll kill you for what I need, you know, and that is nature. But I kind of feel like if we can figure it out. And we can honestly figure out what it was that made us different. I think it would negate a lot of our issues.
I agree 100%. Like I think it would stop a lot of stuff, because again, ignorance is bliss, right? So if you are ignoring, it's bliss for us. So it's just, we could just continue fighting with each other the way we do. I agree 100%.
I don't know. The real Mulder was right.
The truth is out there.
The truth is out there.
I think this is one of the best discussions we can have about that, because it's almost like, I'm not saying we're all having an agreement on it, but you just have to question that in yourself. Like, what made us that? I mean, call it whatever you want. Something made us what we are, and made us survive the way that we are surviving.
Like, it could be technically classified as an existential crisis, and I know I went through that years ago, even within regards to religion, where I kind of start to look at it like, oh, maybe this stuff is right. And then when I start digging into it and applying it to real world shit, I could not find an honest connection to physics and mythology. But within this alien stuff, I can find lots of ties to actual physics. So for me, it's a little more believable. I just kind of, again, I wish people would stop just writing it off instantly as fucking insanity, and just, you know, a little more open-minded and kind of dig down into it. Because again, I'm not going to say that every time I see a video of some asshole posting a puppet of a gray, I'm like, oh my God, that's proof. You know, but
I think that's one of the most beautiful things. We're so busy saying, oh my God, you're so crazy for thinking that, instead of just maybe if you don't completely embrace it, just open your mind just a little bit to the idea that, question yourself and just open up your head to the idea that maybe, maybe we are a little bit more special than we think we are. I'm not saying we're all snowflakes. God, I hate that term, but yeah.
Yeah.
Every snowflake is different. Okay, well, I mean, do you want to just go a couple minutes longer, or do you want to just end it?
That's up to you guys. Like, as I said, I can talk about aliens for years.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about, because one thing I really do miss from as a kid, and I wish my kids could have experienced this in life, even though I think they were probably super dangerous, the big wheel.
Mm-hmm.
The big wheel was so low to the ground, and kids just drove them up and down the street.
I loved my big wheel.
I remember your uncle Scott Arthur would, at the back of the building where we lived, there was a staircase.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't super steep, but I mean, this kid would come bolting down the side of it. There was like a little pathway, and he would just come down on that big wheel, like,
The moment you brought up big wheel, that was the first thing I thought was me and Scott racing down those stairs on them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we used to ride around. Like I said, they were low to the ground. The cars couldn't see you very well. I'm surprised more kids didn't get murdered by, these things. But I loved them, and it was so fun. They had the girl big wheels, so you could be more girly if you wanted to be.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly nowadays.
No.
What I miss the most, and we were talking about this off the air, is definitely kind of the freedom that we had as children. And remember, 11 and a half years of my life was spent outside of the United States in the Philippines, and going to the store, not having my parents kind of just panic over me going to the store. I feel like now parents are so paranoid about every movement that you make.
Oh, yeah.
Every movement you make is kind of just
guilty.
Well, no,
and I know, but I knew. You know what I mean? I will say this: I did helicopter. I won't say helicopter, but I mean, I walked my kids to school every day and picked them up every day, till they were pretty old. I will say this: the reason I did it, because I always thought, for that 5-minute walk, what if something happened and I didn't take them?
That's true. I mean, it's true.
That was my thing. I knew that I should have given them a little more freedoms, but
of course,
I didn't want to.
That kind of stuff is it's stripping essential building blocks of independence, though. Yes. You know what I mean?
Like, I don't think so. My kids are pretty independent. They're now teenagers, and they can go to the store, the mall, or take the bus by themselves.
Well, let's face it, not all kids are well adjusted as yours are, though.
Yes.
Like I have friends now that are 30 years old whose parents were doing that stuff for them, back when I was a kid. And now they're homebodies. They're terrified of the world. Everything is a threat to them. You know what I mean? Because they never actually got to gain that independence. They never actually got to grasp what it is to be by yourself and kind of, figure it out. Like, I can't say that, like, I don't know. I know as a child, I was like 4, 5, 6, 7 out fucking playing by myself, in Scarborough and shit. It was the norm. But even now, like the other day, me and the wife were coming back from grocery shop, and I see these two kids, maybe 8, 9 years old, riding their scooters around, and I'm like, where the fuck are your parents?
Yeah,
it's odd, right? Like it's weird how we,
because then when you were a kid, you were doing probably the same thing.
Well, exactly. When I was their age, I was doing real bad shit. Like I was out by myself starting fires, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe it's from us going, you know what? I remember the asshole I was, and I don't want my kid fucking, throwing rocks or whatever.
Well, I'll say this. I remember I grew up in Scarborough too, and we had very little parental supervision. We'd spend all day wandering Scarborough, playing in Morningside Park, and I can remember many occasions of men trying to get me into their car, flashing me in the park.
Yes.
And I remember that stuff happening, and I was a pretty street smart kid, which is why, luckily nothing bad ever really happened to me in that sense. I don't want that to happen to my kids, and I did baby them. I know I babied them. I admit to it fully.
Oh, yeah. I remember you getting really mad at me when I said I was going to take Logan snowboarding when he turned 13 because it was too dangerous.
Yeah. Now, my son is not coordinated, is the word I want to say.
He would have learned. He would have learned by me pointing and laughing at him.
Yeah, or I would have had to pick him up from the emergency room with a broken arm or leg.
Yeah, I can't say anything, but I hurt myself so many times snowboarding.
Yeah.
Another part of what, like, kind of like what I miss was, and I think this is somewhat teaching the kids a little bit of what do you call, what's that word? Uh, what do you call that? Like they feel, entitlement. Is I remember when we were kids was waiting. Like it taught us patience. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is think about like when a movie comes out and you didn't get to see the movie in the theaters, you had to wait a couple of years
like a year and a half.
Exactly.
VHS. Yeah, no, it was a couple of years sometimes. Remember?
It was a long time. It wasn't a couple months. It was like a year or two. Yeah.
Now forget it. As soon as it's off the theaters, it's in fucking DVD or straight to on demand on your television.
Someone's uploaded it online even.
Or forget DVDs, because I don't even think DVDs are as popular as it was before. Companies like Redbox are definitely going to go down because you think about how quick it is now. Like, my niece saw, like, for example, Moana. We bought it on the DVR thing, and it's permanently on our DVR.
Yeah.
She could watch it at any given moment. I remember if you watched that VHS tape too much, it was broken.
Oh, they wore out. Yeah, the tape to break.
Or like the
but there's something fun about that because when videos and VHS first came out, we were actually one of the first families in our neighborhood to have a VCR player, and you'd go to the video store and you would rent. We didn't even have a Blockbuster. We just went to the little neighborhood store and you would get 3 videos for $5 for the night. And we would, people would come. We'd have not just family, we'd have friends coming over to watch these movies.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because like we're talking about this stuff, late 80s, mid 80s, early 90s kind of stuff, but yet our parents' generation would say the same thing. Like, oh, you guys don't know what the drive-in restaurant was like. You guys don't remember.
Oh, I wish I'd love
the drive-in movie theaters in their heyday. The make-out bluff or whatever. Because I know kids don't do that shit anymore. They just,
they just have sex on the train.
Exactly. Exactly.
Backyard. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. I remember the black and white TV. We had a black and white TV until I was about 8.
Yeah.
We had the freaking 8-track.
It's
nobody will remember the pain of having to press that. There was 4 buttons for the 8-track, and you had to try to line up that tape by pressing the 4. Oh my god, it was such a pain.
Even to rewind a cassette tape.
Yes. Oh my god, I remember. Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Or to fast forward. Oh, I don't want this song. I want to hear the next song, and you'd have to try to get it perfect.
You'd have to be so good at that. Like,
I was gonna say, yeah. You have to be so proud of yourself. And our family was
so ghetto white trash. We would watch movies on the TV like Best Little Whorehouse in Texas or Grease 2, and we'd hold our little tape set up to the TV to record the songs so we could hear them later. And you'd have all of us singing in the background.
That's my favorite, is like when I was younger and they had these things called -1 tapes or multiplex tapes where it's just the instrumental version and you'd sing on top.
Oh, man.
I miss those times.
This is the other thing I miss 100%. And I mean, I've talked about it to everybody I know. I miss crank calling. I loved it. Before Call Display and Star 69 appeared, let me tell you, me and my friend we would go in the evenings and we'd spend the night at her house and we would just take a phone book. A phone book is a book of a whole list of people. I'm sure you guys are so young, you don't know what that is. All the people in the city that had listed telephone numbers, you could call them. And so we would just like randomly open it up and we'd point to one and we'd call, and we wouldn't say mean things. Like we weren't saying like, I'm going to kill you or anything like that. We would just be quiet. And we wouldn't say anything, and we would just listen.
And listen to them get mad.
Like some people would hang up, but some people would be like, "Who is this?" And they'd go on and on and on for like 5 minutes. It was so entertaining. It was the best. And then you would of course call up your crush and listen to their voice, right?
And then like moon over them the whole day.
Or if your friend tried to talk and you'd be fighting over the phone while they're going like, "Hello." Like it's so different now. Kids will never know the joy of a true crank call.
Or just not even just a true crank call, but actually having to work for your grade, like really working for your grade because you had to go to the library and fucking buy, like actually research books and handwrite.
Oh my God, you had to look through that little thing for the newspaper articles.
Yeah, it's not that I missed that because trust me, I love Google, but it's
Copy and paste for bibliography too is a fucking
amazing.
godsend.
But it's crazy sometimes to think that, like my niece, and if I ever, knock on wood, if I ever have my own children, they won't get to experience those kinds of things, and I miss those. You know, I don't miss completely like going to the fucking library and being there for hours doing research on a fucking paper, but I do miss the aspect of socialization with other human beings, because you didn't have an Xbox and, you know, was like, hey, Todd, or whatever your name is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we're playing video games now. Like, you actually had to go over to Todd's house and play in the backyard or in the front yard or whatever and have fun. Now you just don't do that anymore. You don't do that. Who cares about going to the mall and
Or they go and
shopping?
hang out and they just sit on their phones the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what I see a lot. Yeah.
The one thing that kind of blows my mind about kids nowadays, and I've noticed it with my friend Dave's 2 children, is they'll sit there on YouTube and watch other people do stuff.
Gifts. Yeah,
oh, my kids do that all the time. Right? I'm like, I don't get PewDiePie.
Yeah,
all these,
like you're sitting there watching a guy play a video game, and that's your entertainment. Like, and even video games are kind of mind numbing anyway. But like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get on a bike and go outside. Like, especially like Jacqueline, there, you live right down by Morningside Park. Yeah, go out in the woods, man. The woods are great.
Yeah, my kids will go sometimes and hang out with their friends and do that stuff, but it's not even like a once a month sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, you're actually going out kind of a situation. Yeah.
Because like even me, like I can't say that I'm that far removed from the whole video game generation. Like a lot of my friends, that's what they did. And I was never really into it. Like I was always outside. I was always out riding a bike or out fishing in the creek that's just down behind my house. Yeah. You know, like the one thing I will say though that I think the kids are lacking out on is puppetry and movies. Like that original Ninja Turtle movie, nothing will ever beat that because of the puppets.
Yeah.
So again, my friend Dave, his kids, they're scared of the movie The Goonies because it's not CGI. Because it's not CGI. Because it's claymation and puppets and actual like props. It messes with their mind. They can take horror in like a CGI or violence in a CGI sense, but the moment you show them one of these movies like The Dark Crystal, I want to play them The Dark Crystal so bad.
Oh God, that's a nightmare.
And they will lose their shit over this. Like they will be scared, which to me is fucking hilarious. Like absolutely fucking hilarious. Like I want to show them the old Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that.
Ghoulies, remember that one?
The Ghoulies?
Yeah, it was like these little weird ghouls that were like terrorizing people. One was in the toilet. I remember that. But they're little puppets too.
Ew, Jacqueline, what were you watching? Are you sure there's a show?
Person went into the bathroom and popped out of the toilet. She's like, and slammed the lid down.
But even think like Gremlins. Like, kids nowadays would be terrified of that movie because they don't understand puppetry. They don't get it. If it's not CGI, because that's all they can relate to. Yeah, you know, that's the one thing I think kids are missing out on.
Oh my God, what kind of special effects are those?
Yeah,
and the creativity is gone. Like for me, I don't even find a lot of kids reading books. My God, like that's where my imagination came from was books. Yeah. Now I find there's these websites called like Wattpad and Archive of Our Own and things like that have online fiction. And sometimes when I'm reading some of these, you know, because eventually I'll run out of books and I'll have to, you know, find something to read. When I'm reading from these websites, I'm like, you have to describe what the character looks like. Like, are you people that lazy?
Yeah.
Like you're so lazy that you can't imagine what, you know, Todd Spencer looks like. Instead, the fucking author or whatever it's called has to do that for you.
Well, look what happened to Suzanne. Was it Suzanne Collins who wrote Hunger Games?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she didn't describe Rue good enough, and people lost their minds when they cast a black actress, even though the character was black.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're right. I mean, if you don't describe it in detail nowadays, people don't get it.
Yeah, people just don't have an imagination. Now, I'm not saying that these kids are super lazy or whatever the case is, but it's very different. And imagine, I'm not that old. You know, like again, I've said I'm 27. I'm not that old, but sometimes like I even look at my niece and she entertains herself watching these fucking videos while the TV's on, and I'm like, aren't you having some sort of overload?
Yeah.
No, they don't. They can have like 5 things going at the same time.
Maybe that's evolution.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe we're
Yeah.
just phasing out.
Right.
Our generation's phasing out, and they're the ones that are going to survive.
But
God, that's
I kind of hate sounding like one of those. Oh, what are they called?
the old timey
Generators, or I don't know. There's an internet term for it where we're like, oh, but back in my day, I don't want to be one of those people. You know, I'm all for progress and moving forward to the next and all that kind of shit.
But there's nothing wrong with missing, though, Arthur. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with you missing this stuff. But I agree with you. Like, I don't want to turn into that too. But still, I can't help sometimes but look at some of these kids and be like, oh my God, what kind of a life are you really living?
Well, this is the thing. I was going to rent a cottage last summer for just a weekend. And the kids said if there wasn't internet, they weren't going to go. And I'm like, I can live without the internet for a week.
You wouldn't be able to get me off that dock without a fishing pole in my hand. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is so much more fun than sitting on the internet watching PewDiePie make his stupid fucking catchphrases and talk about Minecraft.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. They always complain about when I want to do these things. So, Logan didn't want to go to Wasaga Beach last year.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go. Complained the whole ride up. Made me mad. We got up there. I couldn't get him out of the water. He didn't want to leave.
Exactly.
So once you force them into these situations, they have fun.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Maybe I should drag him out in the woods with me and my buddy. We'll take him on a portage trip.
Oh God, I don't know if he'd survive that. Do you see how pasty white he is?
It's all good. I got sunscreen.
He's very strong though, because he's been working, so he's getting very strong.
Good, because I don't like carrying the canoe.
Yeah, and he's tall, so that's good. Because I always found whenever I had to portage, because I was short, all the weight would go onto my shoulders.
Yeah. Well, it's true though. Like it's I see these. Well, I can't even say that I see these kids. It's rare for me to see kids outside playing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not over here. Definitely, you don't hear them.
No.
And the other day, just to even go back on what you're saying, and this is how I feel like we turn into hypocrites.
Yeah.
I saw a bunch of kids. Like, remember, Jacqueline, when I would go to the store and buy cigarettes or whatever? I'd go to the store and I saw these kids playing, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why are they playing outside? Don't they know the car can hit them? And in my head, I'm like, and now it's popping into my head, that was me. That was me when I was a kid.
My kids used to play out on the front lawn and scream, and Scott would be like, oh, I'm like, no, you know what? They're outside playing. I'm not going to tell them to stop screaming. They're having fun.
Exactly.
My mom used to say, go outside, go air out. She always, I don't know why she would say that, go air out. But yeah, like, I mean, I feel like my niece doesn't even air out. She's just inside.
I mean, in the summer vacation, we were never bored.
Yeah.
We never sat around with nothing to do, because we would go, like I said, I was in a community where there was always another kid to play with, or we'd go hang out in Morningside Park. I remember we used to play in behind the buildings. There was like a hill, and we found just like some crap somebody had dumped there. And it kind of looked like a house had fallen down. And we made up a whole story about how a family had been killed in this tornado, and how their ghosts were there. And when the wind whistled through the trees, I'd be like, Daddy's talking. Right? Like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we did.
One thing I've noticed, though, that hasn't changed, though, is teenagers in the mall.
Oh, yeah.
They always go, I mean, yeah, okay, now these guys aren't walking around socializing. They're just sitting there with their faces buried in their phones, but they're still going to the mall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least that, that's one of those things.
Always be in business.
Oh, yeah. Except for I seen pictures of the Mall of America fucking 10 years ago compared to now, and it's insane, like the amount of people.
They're losing the malls are going to go out of business. We lost Morningside Mall. That's by me.
Yeah, now it's just a big strip mall, right?
Yeah, it's like a big box kind of place.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, well, anything else to add to this topic before we wrap it up?
No, that's it.
Okay. Kids, go outside, play, get some sunshine on your face, but wear your sunscreen.
Yeah.
Stop watching PewDiePie. The guy's trash.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he is. Seriously, he really is, though.
But if you have an alien video or a ghost video or a Sasquatch video, send it to us, because we're definitely open-minded and want to see this stuff.
I will get bombed on edibles and watch the shit out of it.
Have a good week. I believe I'll be back here on Sunday with Justin talking TV, and we'll see the rest of you guys on Monday.
Yes. See you
Take
guys.
care.
See you. Take care.
Bye.